Hello and welcome. This is the F&O Show on BloombergQuint Live, India's first digital live streaming business news service. I am Agam Akil. Let's start by taking a look at how the markets are faring at this point in time. Well, it's been a quiet morning so far. We haven't really seen too much movement as far as the indices are concerned. This is after the benchmark snapped a 4-day losing streak yesterday. Today, we're seeing, well, like I said, a quiet morning, so we don't have too much to go for, even though we are seeing an increase in open interest for the Nifty right now. Of course, don't forget, today is the weekly expiry, so we'll be watching out for some of those cues as we move into trade today. Of course, the Bank Nifty, we are seeing a surge in open interest, and even though the underlying is just marginally in the green. Let's talk about your India Volatility Index, because that is something that we were talking about of late as well. It's not moved at all. It's just around the mark of 14. And what about the options? And let's pull up, this weekly options today. So that's your 20th January open interest. No surprises then. We have a lot of open interest accumulation around the 12,000 call. And I reckon that that's where we are expected to, see the expiry play out. In and around that, we are seeing a lot of writing around there. That said, I'd also want to take a look at the last week expiry, because that will give us an idea about how we are going into the next week. And that's, of course, your 27 February expiry. Looking at a largely broad range, but the 12,000 put really stands out in terms of accumulation. So we'll continue to keep an eye on that one, considering the benchmarks are also around that. The Nifty specifically in this case is around that mark. Well, that said, let's also take a look at all the stocks which are buzzing in trade on account of the change in open interest. And I'm sure there are plenty, even though it's been a fairly quiet opening so far. We have Max Financial Services, which is actually gaining quite substantially on account of several changes as reported. So we're going to keep an eye on that one. We are looking at a lot of longs there. And there's no stopping Mindtree, is there? It's going from strength to strength, up another 1.5%, and more longs building in. Balkrishna Industries is the other one, which is also looking at a lot of strength. It's up around another 2.5%, 11% increase in OI. We have Biocon, which is fairly active, as is the case for Bharti Infratel. And as you can see, all the top gainers on the indices right now are, well, looking at longs. What about stocks which are seeing unwinding? Well, Oil India is in a little bit of a trouble, and we're actually seeing quite sharp cuts. Even today, down 9%. And there's longs unwinding coming through. But say for that, we don't have too much to speak for otherwise. So we'll continue to keep an eye on that one. Besides that, what are the other stocks that we are planning to discuss today? Max Financial Services, we have to talk about that, considering the sharp up move today. Balkrishna is the other one. I was actually confused between Balkrishna and Mindtree, but we've spoken about Mindtree enough of late, so I thought I'll take up Balkrishna right now. And of course, Indiabulls Housing Finance, which is actually currently trading at days highs. So, well, we're talking about that one as well. So on that note, it's time to get in our experts. But before that, here's a reminder. If you have any queries regarding futures and options markets, you can call us on 022-454-04141. Of course, write to us on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube with the AskPQ hashtag. And on that note, today we have with us Abhijit Phatak of Define Edge Solutions and Ashish Chaturmohta of Sanctum Wealth, who's joining us on the show. Good morning, guys, and thanks for taking the time out. Ashish, we have you here with us in the studio. Let's start by taking a look at what you say about the benchmarks from here on, Ashish.
Good morning, Agam. So as far as index is concerned, I think we are in a sideways trend. We have taken support around 11,920, 930, made a low and almost closed near 12,000. That indicates the importance of 12,000 strike price puts, where there was a lot of put writing. So there was an intraday dip below 12,000, but eventually we managed to cross that and sustain around 12,000, and we are now trading almost 100 points above 12,000 zone. But at the same time, around 12,300, you have a huge call writing taking place. So I think market has created a range is between 11,950 to 12,250. Unless we don't see a decisive breakout or breakdown on the other side, I think we are going to trade sideways. But within this sideways trend, I think individual stocks are going to show very good traction. So I think the market is more stock specific rather than trying to ride or play on any significant up move or down move in the index.
Okay, fair enough. Abhijit, I reckon that you're also, well, fairly constructive, but you would prefer to buy on dips?
Yes, actually intraday also 12,100 is a good support on the futures. Any dip near there or maybe slightly lower also is a good buy, and 12,050 below 12,050 should be the stop loss. And there is a resistance near 12,150 on the futures. If that is crossed, I am expecting 12,220, may not be today but maybe in the next couple of days.
Okay, of course. So that's Abhijit's view on the Nifty. But Abhijit, let's talk about stocks then. What's on your radar today?
Yeah, I have two longs. One is Dr. Reddy can be bought, has been consolidating and it is in an uptrend and is showing promise today. It can be bought, of course it has gone up slightly, but it can still be bought on a dip, and stop loss being 30 to 70. And I expect Dr. Reddy to go towards 3,500 in the coming days.
Okay. And do you also have Hindustan Unilever on your radar, Abhijit?
Yes, HUL has been in an uptrend for so long and it has given a breakout last week. It consolidated yesterday also, it gave a breakout, so that also can be bought with a stop loss below 2250. And in HUL also I am expecting 2380, even maybe 2400 in the coming days.
Okay, and that's not the only consumption name that we do have, because I believe Ashish also has more on his list. Ashish, why don't you take us through your calls for today?
Yeah, so my first pick would be a long idea on Dabur, which has seen a very strong Y addition, and the way the stock has recovered in last two trading sessions indicates stock is poised for a move towards its all-time high territory. So 508 would be my trading stop loss. 530 is an immediate short-term target in Dabur. Second is a buy call on Berger, which has been consolidating for last 7-8 trading sessions and showing signs of strong up move from current levels. So one can initiate a long. 574 would be my trading stop loss. 598 is a short-term target one can expect in Berger. And again, I think Jubilant Food is in a very good action. So here one can initiate a long. 1870 would be my trading stop loss on upside. 1980 is a short-term target. And one stock I would like to add, Agam, is Apollo Hospital, which is trading very well, and since morning we are seeing consistent build-up of long positions in the stock. So keep 1780 as in stop loss in Apollo Hospital for an upside target of 1860.
Sure, absolutely. Of course, we've been talking about Apollo Hospitals of late as well. So, well, plenty of calls coming in from both our experts. But let's talk about a handful of stocks I want to address. And we got to talk about Max Financial Services. Of course, we know that today's up move is largely on account of the news flow that's coming through. A lot of speculation with respect to Anuljit Singh's stake sale. There is a possibility of another private sector bank coming in to buy stake in there. And that's the reason why we're looking at that sharp up move. There's an 18% increase in open interest, and there is a lot of volumes in the cash markets too. Abhijit, may I come to you on Max Financial Services? How are you reading into these cues, and what would you do with this?
Yeah, on the chart it is very strong and it is crossing resistances without any pause at all. So it is a buy on dip. Since the last resistance it crossed was 550. The stop loss should be below 550. On any dip, maybe near 570, it can be bought, and I'm expecting 600, 620 in the near future.
Okay, and we move on to Balkrishna Industries then, and as I've been suggesting, this is the other stock from, well, I would say the auto ancillary space, which has been gaining a lot of traction and well, clearly outperforming the likes of Apollo Tyres, if I may. It's up 2% today as well, 10% added in open interest again, and that's your one-year move. So it has made a significant gains as well in the last 12 odd months. But the point is, in the near term, what do we do? It's, as I've suggested, it's up for 8 out of the last 9 sessions, so it's certainly looking at strength. Ashish, do you see the strength continue for Balkrishna Industries?
Yeah, I think so. See, this stock is in a very, very strong momentum and uptrend, and if you look at it since the last 7-8 months, every month has been on the green side, so clearly indicates that the trajectory is clearly on upside. I think the move where the stock can extend is towards 1350, 1316 in immediate short term. Ideally, the stop loss should be around 1245 for going long, even at current levels.
Okay, all right, and from there on we move on to Indiabulls Housing Finance. It's gaining for the second straight day in a row. It's not a stock which is usually very quiet, but it has been quiet over the last 4 or 5 odd sessions at least. And today is the day where it actually starts moving, and it's up 6% already. In fact, it's gained another 2% in the last 10 odd minutes. There's an increase in open interest of around 9%. So the question really is that what do you do with this one? Abhijit, are you witnessing anything significant in Indiabulls Housing Finance? How would you play this stock?
Yes, I'm quite bullish on Indiabulls housing as long as it is closing above 300. So any dip is a buy, maybe with a stop loss below 295, and 350 being the first target. And if it continues to remain bullish, even 400 is not ruled out in the coming future.
All right. Well, that's quite a bit of an uplift. Should it go to 400? And that's Abhijit's view in the near future, not necessarily in the next few sessions, but in the near future, it's on the cards. And from there on, we'll take a handful of queries. But before that, I do want to address a bunch of other stocks. What we saw yesterday was, Tata Elxsi moved to a certain extent. Today is again a tad bit quiet. And of course, it has been consolidating around the 1,000 mark. Ashish, you've been tracking the stock very closely. At what point in time would you want to initiate, a long or a short for that matter, when it comes to Tata Elxsi?
So I think maybe somewhere close to either 960 on dip or a crossover about 1,000. That would be a trigger to initiate any kind of long position. So on dips, it would be around 960. If it doesn't comes down to 960 and crosses 1,000, that would be a trigger on the upside to be on the long side of Tata Elxsi.
Okay, that's Tata Elxsi for you. And the other stock which has been buzzing quite a bit of late is Piramal Enterprises. Let's pull that up as well, and we'll take Piramal Enterprises with Abhijit because again, it's seeing an up move today, and it's actually resumed its uptrend over the past two sessions. Again, we're looking at it reclaiming 1,600 mark. So what's going on with this one? Abhijit, what's your view on Piramal Enterprises? This has been a relatively tougher stock to trade off late.
Yes, Piramal is a very bullish stock, and as long as it is above 1590 or so, it can go towards 1635 or maybe even 1700. And this is showing promise even intraday. So maybe someone can try a call option also, maybe 1600, 1640 kind of call option. But 1635 is the resistance, above that maybe 1700.
Okay, and from there on we move on to queries, and we have one from Harshvardhan. Harshvardhan wants a view on Federal Bank on the 90 call specifically. Should he buy the 90 call for this expiry? It just so happens that Morgan Stanley this morning has come up with a note. It's upgraded Federal Bank to equal weight from underweight. So they're not overly positive, but they are giving it an equal weight rating right now. However, what they have done is increase the price target to 95 from 80 earlier. So they are suggesting that there has been a lot of underperformance for Federal Bank, and at this point in time it is undervalued for the underlying fundamentals that it holds, which is why possibly it is gaining around 3% today. It's at the mark of around 86, 87. But Ashish, Harshvardhan wants to play the 90 call for this expiry. What is the chance of that happening?
It's a very tricky one.
Yeah.
I would avoid any bet on Federal Bank because it looks like more of a pullback trade. Rather, in fact, if I want to initiate any long in the private sector bank, I think I'll still go with Axis Bank and ICICI Bank.
Okay, let's talk about Aurobindo Pharma then. Let's pull that up as well because we have seen a surge yesterday. There hasn't been as much continuation today. It's marginally in the green for now, but we must remember that there were a lot of longs building up yesterday, and this morning once again we've had a lot of brokerages which have maintained price targets of well over anywhere between 775 to well over 800 from the couple of reports that I have read this morning. Of course, that overhang with respect to one of its key facilities is out of the way, which means an added advantage to its US operations. It's up at around 607, 608. Abhijit, would you expect consolidation in Aurobindo Pharma, or do you think that there could be more strength in store for this one off late? On what levels would you watch out for?
Aurobindo has seen a lot of short covering yesterday, and since expiry is approaching, it might continue. Only thing is the stop loss is a bit lower. It's at below 580. So any dip can be used to buy, and if it crosses yesterday's high, I wouldn't be surprised to see even 640 on it.
All right. On that note, I'm just going to go across to our experts to see whether or not something's striking them. So, Ashish, besides the stock that we've already spoken about, we're within an hour and a half into the trading session. Anything that you like?
So yeah, I think as we were discussing, a few of the names like for that matter, in the F&O segment would be DLF, where some some action is being built up. So I think here some pullback could not be ruled out. But SRF is one stock which looks very, very strong even at current levels. I think here one can initiate a long, keeping 4150 as a trading stop loss. 4400 is my immediate upside target in SRF.
What about you, Abhijit? Anything standing out for you in the last 20-30 odd minutes?
Yeah, actually, a lot of stocks. One of the stocks which is quite looking very good is Apollo Tyres. In fact, something is happening in the tire space because Balkrishna is going to, even Apollo Tyres with the stop loss below 150, it can go to 156 or 162.
All right, fair enough, guys. We will leave it at that. Well, on that note, I am going to take a moment to thank both our experts, Ashish and Abhijit, for joining us and taking us through their views on the markets and, of course, solving at least one query from our experts today, or rather from our viewers today. Don't forget to log on to our futures and options pages on BloombergQuint.com. And on that note, it's a wrap on this edition of the F&O Show. But for more news and updates, stay tuned to BloombergQuint Live.